Good evening, and welcome to Dreamy Academy. Tonight we turn our gaze inward to the most intricate and astonishing landscape known to us, the human mind. As we begin, I'd love to know where you're watching from, your city, your country, perhaps even what the night sky looks like outside your window. If you enjoy these peaceful explorations of science, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe. It truly helps this little corner of quiet curiosity grow. To those already subscribed, thank you sincerely for being part of this slow and thoughtful adventure. Right now, as you listen to these words, an invisible symphony is unfolding within you. A vast, silent ballet of electrical impulses and chemical whispers. Your brain, an organ weighing roughly 3 pounds, is performing the most complex feat in the known universe. It is contemplating itself. It is taking the vibrations in the air, transforming them into patterns of understanding, and then reflecting on the very mechanism that makes that understanding possible. It is a universe contained within the quiet darkness of your skull, a universe of thought, emotion, memory, and perception. There is a profound beauty in this, a deep resonance in realizing that the same fundamental particles that forge distant stars have, through billions of years of cosmic alchemy and biological evolution, arranged themselves into a structure capable of poetry, mathematics, and profound self-awareness. This journey into cognitive science is not merely an exploration of biology, but an inquiry into the very nature of existence and experience. A gentle drift through the architecture of wonder that makes you possible. Have you ever paused to consider the quiet miracle unfolding within your own skull, even as you simply breathe and listen? It is a place of perpetual motion, a landscape of ceaseless activity, yet often so seamless that its complexity remains hidden beneath the surface of our conscious thought. Let us begin our gentle exploration by focusing on the most fundamental unit of this inner universe, the neuron. Picture, if you will, a tiny specialized cell, elegant in its purpose, ancient in its lineage. These neurons are the very threads of thought, the microscopic architects of all experience. They are not merely passive conduits, but active participants in a vast interconnected conversation, a dialogue that has been refined over millions of years of evolution. Each neuron, like a miniature tree, possesses a central body from which branch out delicate root-like structures called dendrites, designed to receive signals, and extending outward like a single long branch is the axon, built to transmit signals to other neurons, often across surprising distances within the brain's intricate geography. At the very end of the axon, these branches divide into terminals, forming junctions, the synapses, where the magic of communication truly happens. These cells are not randomly scattered. They are arranged in layers, in columns, in intricate pathways, forming networks of astonishing complexity. There are approximately 86 billion of them in an adult human brain, each one a living, breathing entity, constantly receiving, processing, and transmitting information. To grasp this scale, imagine laying out every single neuron end to end. They would stretch for thousands of miles, yet they are packed into the compact space of your skull, a testament to nature's unparalleled efficiency and design. The beauty of the neuron lies in its simplicity of function, combined with the staggering complexity of its collective action. It is a fundamental building block, yet when millions and billions of them work in concert, they give rise to something as profound and mysterious as consciousness itself. The primary language of the neuron is electricity, Not the raw, surging power of a lightning bolt, but a delicate, precise pulse, a fleeting change in electrical potential known as an action potential. Imagine a ripple moving across a quiet pond, a moment of disturbance that travels with swift elegance. When a neuron receives enough signals from its dendrites, a threshold is crossed, and an electrical impulse is generated at its cell body. This impulse then races down the axon, a journey that can take mere milliseconds. It is an all-or-nothing event. Either the neuron fires, or it does not. There is no partial signal, no hesitant whisper. It is a clear, decisive message. To speed this vital communication, many axons are wrapped in a fatty insulating layer called myelin, much like the plastic coating around an electrical wire. This myelin sheath is not continuous. It has tiny gaps, known as the nodes of Ranvier. The electrical impulse, instead of flowing smoothly, actually jumps from one node to the next, a process called saltatory conduction. This allows signals to travel at speeds up to 120 meters per second, or over 260 miles per hour, ensuring that your brain can respond to the world and to its own thoughts with incredible swiftness. Consider this. In the time it takes for you to blink, millions of these electrical pulses have surged and danced within your brain, orchestrating everything from the subtle adjustments of your breathing to the complex interpretation of the sounds you hear. The elegance of this mechanism, refined over eons, allows for the rapid, robust communication essential for every aspect of our mental life. It is the underlying rhythm of thought, the silent current that carries all our inner experiences. But the story of neural communication does not end with electricity. When the electrical impulse reaches the axon terminals, it encounters a tiny gap, the synapse, separating it from the next neuron. Here, the language shifts from electricity to chemistry. The arrival of the electrical signal triggers the release of tiny chemical messengers called neurotransmitters into this synaptic cleft. These neurotransmitters drift across the gap and bind to specific receptors on the dendrites of the neighboring neuron, like a key fitting into a lock. Depending on the neurotransmitter and the receptor, this chemical message either excites the next neuron, making it more likely to fire its own electrical impulse, or inhibits it, making it less likely. This dance of electrical pulses and chemical whispers, repeated billions of times a second across countless synapses, is the very foundation of your cognitive world. It is through the varied combinations of excitation and inhibition that neurons form intricate patterns of activity, patterns that encode memories, sculpt perceptions, and generate emotions. This is how a simple light wave becomes the vivid color blue in your mind, how vibrations in the air become the meaning of these words, how a scent can transport you back to a forgotten childhood moment. The brain, at its most fundamental level, is a grand, dynamic tapestry woven from these tiny, precise acts of communication. It is a system that learns, adapts, and reshapes itself with every experience, every thought, every sensation. The very structure of these connections, the strength of these synaptic whispers, is constantly being modified, allowing your brain to be a living, evolving record of your life. So we have seen the neuron, an ancient and elegant cell firing its precise electrical pulses and whispering its chemical messages across synaptic gaps. This fundamental unit, seemingly simple in its operation, holds the key to the most profound questions about who we are. But how do these individual sparks and whispers coalesce into the rich, seamless tapestry of our conscious experience? How do billions of these tiny conversations create a coherent world within our minds, allowing us to learn, to remember, to imagine? This quiet wonder, the emergence of mind from matter, is what truly calls to us. Next, we will gently explore how these individual neurons connect into vast networks, creating the intricate pathways that allow us to perceive the world, to form memories, and to ultimately understand the very act of understanding itself. We will begin to see how simple rules, applied on an unimaginable scale, give rise to the complexity we call thought, and so we arrive at the threshold of perhaps the most profound mystery of all, don't we? How do these infinitesimal electrical pulses, these fleeting chemical whispers, these intricate dances between individual neurons coalesce into the rich, seamless tapestry of conscious experience? How does this symphony of silent, rapid-fire signals give rise to you? To your memories, your dreams, your perceptions of a vibrant world, your very sense of self gazing back at me through these words? It's a question that whispers in the quiet moments, a gentle hum beneath the surface of our everyday awareness, yet its implications are staggering, touching the very core of what it means to be alive. It is a question that has haunted philosophers and scientists for millennia, a riddle wrapped in the very fabric of our being, as ancient as human curiosity itself. From the earliest musings of pre-Socratic thinkers pondering the nature of the soul to the cutting-edge neuroimaging techniques of today, humanity has relentlessly pursued this elusive understanding. For if the neuron is the exquisite, shimmering letter in the alphabet of the mind, a microscopic marvel of biochemical precision, then consciousness, thought, and emotion are the epic poems, the intricate novels, the profound declarations woven from billions upon billions of these tiny characters. Each, quote 3, on its own is a wonder, capable of transmitting a message with astonishing speed and fidelity. But it is in their collective arrangement, their complex grammar and syntax, that the true narrative of our existence unfolds. We recognize the elegance of a single word, but the profound resonance comes from the story it helps to tell. Imagine, if you will, not merely a single neuron firing, a solitary spark in the vast darkness, but a vast, interconnected city at night. Picture it from above, a sprawling urban landscape stretching to the horizon, each light a single neuron awakening, sending its signal across the darkness, a momentary flicker of electrical energy. But a city, as we know, is not just individual lights. It is the intricate network of roads, arteries pulsing with traffic, carrying resources and information. It is the robust power grids, distributing energy with incredible efficiency. It is the invisible web of communication lines, connecting every home and business. It is the ceaseless ebb and flow of traffic, the synchronized rhythm of its inhabitants' daily lives, their collective actions and interactions that gives it life, purpose, and identity. In much the same way, the brain's true magic lies not in its individual components, however remarkable they may be, but in the astonishing dynamic relationships between them. It's in the way they greet each other, the paths they forge, the messages they prioritize, the grand collaborative architecture they continuously construct. We speak now of neural networks, those sprawling dynamic constellations where neurons are not isolated entities, silent and detached, but active, eager participants in a grand collaborative dance. Think of it as a cosmic web, stretching across the inner universe of your skull, a shimmering, pulsating galaxy of connections, where information doesn't just travel from point A to point B in a linear fashion, but flows, loops back on itself, reverberates through countless feedback mechanisms, and transforms through myriad pathways simultaneously. It's a constant, dizzying ballet of signals, a perpetual conversation happening across billions of points. A single thought, a fleeting emotion, the recognition of a familiar face. These are not the product of one neuron, or even 100 or 1,000, but the emergent property of millions of neurons firing in concert, their individual contributions blending into a coherent, meaningful pattern. It's a collective chorus, where no single voice dominates, but the combined harmony creates something far richer and more complex than any individual note could achieve. Consider the simple, yet profoundly complex act of seeing a rose. Light enters your eyes, a cascade of photons, triggering electrical signals in your retina. These signals journey along the optic nerve, a superhighway of neural information, eventually reaching the visual cortex at the back of your brain. But it's not a single, continuous stream, a mere photograph downloaded to your mind. Instead, different aspects of the rose, its vibrant, rich red hue, perhaps the deep crimson of a velvet petal, the delicate, intricate curve of its petals, each one a miniature sculpture, the sharp, protective prickle of its thorns, a tactile warning, its intoxicating, complex fragrance, a memory in itself, are processed by distinct groups of neurons, often in different specialized regions of the brain. One group might specialize in discerning color, another in recognizing shape and form, yet another in detecting subtle motion as a breeze rustles its leaves, and still more in memory association, perhaps recalling a grandmother's garden and emotional response, a feeling of beauty, love, or even melancholy. How then does your brain bind these disparate elements, color, shape, texture, scent, memory, emotion, into the unified holistic experience of a rose? This is what some call the binding problem. A puzzle that highlights the brain's extraordinary capacity for integration. It's as if an unseen conductor, a maestro of the mind, is orchestrating a magnificent symphony, bringing together the disparate instruments, the soaring strings, the resonant brass, the lyrical woodwinds, the rhythmic percussion, not as individual sounds, but as a harmonious, deeply meaningful composition. Each instrument plays its part, contributing its unique timbre, but it is the conductor's guidance, the precise timing and interplay that creates the unified, moving piece of music. Your brain performs this astonishing feat of integration countless times every second, seamlessly weaving together sensory inputs, deeply held memories, and raw emotions to create your coherent, continuous reality, a reality that feels utterly seamless and natural to you. This integration isn't a static process like a finished painting. It's profoundly dynamic, more akin to a perpetually evolving sculpture. The brain is not a fixed, immutable machine, stamped out identical for every individual, but a living, breathing, ever-changing landscape. This remarkable capacity for change, for constant reorganization and adaptation in response to the world, is what we call neuroplasticity. Every new experience, every lesson learned, every memory formed, every skill acquired, from the delicate, precise touch of a paintbrush on canvas to the complex, abstract reasoning of a philosophical argument, from learning a new language to navigating a new city, subtly yet significantly reshapes the very architecture of your neural networks. New connections are forged, like pioneering pathways in a wilderness. Existing ones are strengthened or weakened, becoming superhighways or fading tracks, and entire pathways can be rerouted or refined, optimizing for efficiency and speed. Imagine a bustling ancient forest where the trails are not fixed, immutable lines, but are constantly being carved, deepened, widened, or overgrown based on how frequently they are travelled. A thought you think often, an idea you revisit, a skill you practice daily. These become well-worn paths, easily traversed, allowing information to flow with little resistance, almost automatically. A new idea, a novel skill, a fresh perspective, begins as a faint trace, a barely perceptible deer track through dense undergrowth. But with repetition, with conscious focus, with dedicated practice, it can become a superhighway, smooth and efficient, allowing information to flow with ever greater speed and efficiency. This continuous sculpting by experience, this relentless adaptation to the demands and lessons of your life, is why your mind is so uniquely yours, a testament to your personal journey through the world, an intricate map of your triumphs, struggles, and discoveries. It is, in essence, the story of you, written in the very structure of your brain. And what of consciousness itself, that luminous inner light that allows you to be aware of your own awareness, to reflect on your thoughts, to feel the warmth of the sun or the pang of regret? It does not reside in a single, quote, 6, within the brain, waiting to be switched on or off like a light bulb. Instead, current understanding suggests it is an emergent property of widespread integrated neural activity across many different brain regions. Think of it not as a single spotlight illuminating one point on a stage, but as a vast interconnected stage where countless bits of information, sensory inputs, memories, emotions, intentions, are constantly being broadcast and shared among a global network of specialized actors. When enough of these actors are engaged in a synchronized, coherent performance, when their individual contributions align and resonate, a unified, comprehensive, and conscious experience arises. It's the symphony reaching its crescendo, the city waking up in unison. It is like the intricate, breathtaking dance of a flock of starlings, known as a murmuration, where no single bird dictates the entire pattern, yet from the synchronized movements of hundreds, even thousands, a breathtaking unified shape emerges against the sky, flowing and morphing with fluid grace. Or perhaps consider a complex computer network like the Internet itself. No single server holds the Internet, no central hub controls everything, but the Internet emerges from the collective synchronized activity of countless interconnected machines, communicating and sharing data globally. Your consciousness is this grand integrated state, a global workspace where sensory inputs from the world, deeply etched memories from your past, powerful emotions and future intentions are brought together, evaluated and acted upon, allowing you to construct your subjective reality, a reality that feels utterly present and uniquely your own. This constant integrated activity is also what allows your brain to engage in predictive processing, a truly remarkable feat. Your brain isn't just passively receiving information from the world, like a blank slate recording data. It's actively predicting what will happen next, constantly generating hypotheses about the world and comparing them against incoming sensory data. When you hear a partial word in a noisy room, your brain fills in the blanks. When you see a familiar shape partially obscured, it completes the image. This astonishing efficiency allows you to navigate the world with incredible speed and agility, filling in gaps, anticipating events, and making sense of ambiguity, often without you even being consciously aware of the monumental computational feats occurring beneath the surface. It's why you can catch a ball, anticipate a friend's reaction, or understand a complex sentence, all in a fraction of a second, seamlessly moving through a constantly unfolding future. So, as we contemplate these intricate networks, this ceaseless dance of integration and adaptation, a profound appreciation for the human mind deepens, doesn't it? It is not merely a collection of parts, a static assemblage of specialized components, but a dynamic, self-organizing system of unimaginable complexity and elegance. It is a biological supercomputer, yes, but also a storyteller, an artist, a philosopher, all rolled into one. A system that, through the sheer force of its interconnectedness and its capacity for emergent properties, constructs your entire subjective universe, endows you with the capacity for self-reflection, and allows you to ponder the very mechanisms that give rise to your thoughts, your feelings, your sense of being. It's a universe within, mirroring the complexity of the cosmos outside. We are just beginning to glimpse the breathtaking scope of this inner cosmos. To understand how these emergent properties arise from the fundamental building blocks we discussed earlier. The journey continues, always inviting us deeper, always revealing new layers of wonder, new pathways to explore. For in understanding the mind, in peeling back the layers of this most intimate of mysteries, we are, in a very real sense, coming to understand ourselves, our place in the universe, and the extraordinary nature of existence itself. And that, dear friends, is a quest worthy of our most profound curiosity, a journey that promises endless fascination and a deeper connection to the very essence of what it means to be human. And so, as we gently drift from the intricate tapestry of neural networks and the emergent marvel of consciousness, we arrive at a precipice, gazing out over the vast shimmering landscape of our own subjective reality. For if the mind is indeed a dynamic self-organizing system that actively constructs the world we perceive, then the fundamental question unfurls before us. How does it accomplish this magnificent feat? How do these silent electrical whispers and chemical dances coalesce into the vibrant, tangible experience we call being? Tonight, within the quiet embrace of the Dreamy Academy, we shall venture deeper into the very mechanisms of this construction, exploring the foundational cognitive processes that sculpt our inner world and by extension our outer one. Consider, if you will, the sheer, overwhelming torrent of information that bombards our senses at every waking moment. The subtle hum of the air conditioner, the distant murmur of traffic, the intricate patterns of light and shadow playing across your vision, the faint scent of a forgotten memory clinging to the air, the gentle pressure of the chair beneath you. It is an orchestra of sensations, a symphony of stimuli far too vast for our conscious mind to process simultaneously. And yet, you do not experience chaos. you experience a coherent, meaningful world. This, my curious companion, is where the marvelous interplay of perception and attention truly begins its magic. Perception is not merely a passive reception of data, it is an active, interpretive art. Imagine your brain not as a simple camera recording a scene, but as an extraordinarily sophisticated editor, constantly sifting, selecting, enhancing, and even predicting what comes next. When light strikes your retina, or sound waves vibrate your eardrum, or molecules bind to your olfactory receptors, these are but raw ingredients, disparate fragments of information. It is your brain that takes these fragments, and with breathtaking speed and elegance stitches them together, imbues them with meaning, and contextualizes them within the vast archive of your past experiences. Think back to the binding problem we touched upon. The way a rose's colour, shape and scent are seamlessly integrated into a single unified perception. This integration is a continuous marvel of perception, where bottom-up sensory input, the raw data, meets top-down cognitive processes, your expectations, memories and knowledge. Your brain doesn't just see red, it perceives the redness of a rose, already anticipating its velvety texture and sweet fragrance, drawing upon a lifetime of encounters with similar objects. It fills in the gaps, corrects for ambiguities, and constructs a best-guess reality, often before you're even consciously aware of the process. It is a tireless storyteller, weaving narratives from the merest threads of sensation, ensuring that the world you inhabit is not a jumble of disconnected stimuli, but a rich, navigable tapestry. But how does this masterful editor decide what to focus on amidst the ceaseless deluge? This brings us to the profound and indispensable role of attention. If perception is the brain's interpretive art, then attention is its spotlight, a focused beam illuminating specific details from the vast stage of sensory input, allowing us to engage deeply with certain aspects of our environment while relegating others to the periphery of our awareness. Without attention, our conscious experience would be a chaotic, overwhelming blur, an undifferentiated soup of sensations. Consider a bustling marketplace, the cacophony of voices, the kaleidoscope of colours, the mingling aromas of spices and street food. You could stand there, overwhelmed, or you could consciously choose to focus on the vibrant hue of a particular fruit, the precise words of a vendor's call, or the intricate pattern on a piece of fabric. This act of selective attention is not merely a conscious decision, it is a fundamental cognitive filter, operating both voluntarily and involuntarily. Sometimes, a sudden loud noise will involuntarily snatch your attention, a primal alarm system overriding your current focus. Other times, you deliberately direct your mental energy, tuning out distractions to concentrate on these very words, allowing them to unfurl within your mind. This spotlight of attention is incredibly powerful, capable of enhancing the processing of attended information while actively suppressing the unattended. It sculpts our immediate reality, determining what enters the hallowed halls of our conscious awareness and what remains in the shadowlands of the subconscious. It is the gatekeeper of our cognitive resources, ensuring that we do not exhaust ourselves trying to process every single pixel of our existence. And what we choose to attend to, what we allow into that illuminated circle, profoundly shapes our understanding of the world and the very narratives we construct about ourselves. Yet, our experience is not confined to the fleeting present. Illuminated by attention's beam, our sense of self, our capacity for learning, our ability to predict and plan, all hinge upon another astonishing cognitive faculty: memory. Memory is not a single, monolithic archive, a static library where experiences are neatly filed away. Rather, it is a dynamic, reconstructive process, a living, breathing aspect of our identity that is constantly being updated, reinterpreted, and even subtly altered with each new experience. Imagine memory as a vast, interconnected web, where each thread represents a piece of information, an emotion, a sensory detail, or a personal experience. When you recall a memory, you're not simply pulling a fixed file from a drawer. You're actively reconstructing that experience, often weaving together fragments from different parts of your brain. This reconstruction is influenced by your current mood, your present knowledge, and even your expectations, making memory a creative rather than purely reproductive act. It is why different people can recall the same event with subtle yet distinct variations, each constructing their own truth from the shared threads of reality. We navigate the world with an array of memory systems, each serving a unique purpose. There is the fleeting echo of sensory memory, holding raw perceptual information for mere milliseconds. Then comes working memory, a limited but vital mental workspace where we actively hold and manipulate information for a short period. The phone number you mentally repeat before dialing, the steps of a recipe you are following. This is the temporary stage where thought takes shape, where ideas are juggled and examined before they either fade or are deemed worthy of a more permanent residence. For those more enduring residents, we turn to long-term memory, an expansive and seemingly limitless repository. Within its depths reside declarative memories, the facts and events we can consciously recall and articulate. This category further branches into semantic memory, our vast encyclopedia of general knowledge, the capital of France, the laws of physics, the meaning of words. And then there is episodic memory, the personal autobiography of our lives, rich with the sensory and emotional details of specific events. Your last birthday celebration, the feeling of sand between your toes on a childhood beach, the conversation you had this morning. These episodic memories are the bedrock of our personal narrative, shaping who we believe ourselves to be. Beyond conscious recollection, there are also the quiet, often unconscious processes of non-declarative memory. This includes procedural memory, the memory for skills and habits, riding a bicycle, playing a musical instrument, tying your shoelaces. These are memories, quote, test, often performed effortlessly without conscious thought, residing in the very structure and pathways of our neural networks, a testament to the brain's remarkable capacity for efficient embodied learning. And then there is priming, where exposure to one stimulus influences the response to a subsequent stimulus, subtly shaping our perceptions and reactions without our explicit awareness. Together, these memory systems are not merely storage units. They are the architects of our identity, the continuous thread that connects our past selves to our present and future aspirations. They inform our perceptions, guide our attention, and provide the rich context within which all new experiences are understood. Without memory, each moment would be utterly new, utterly dislocated, and the very concept of a continuous you would dissolve into the ether. And how do we articulate this rich inner world, share our intricate experiences, and build collective understanding? Through the astonishing faculty of language. Language is more than just a tool for communication. It is a fundamental cognitive system that shapes our thoughts, structures our perceptions, and allows us to transcend the immediate present, to ponder the past and imagine the future. It is the symbolic bridge between individual minds, an intricate dance of sounds and symbols that unlocks vast universes of meaning. From the first cooing sounds of infancy to the complex philosophical debates of adulthood, language acquisition is one of the most remarkable feats of the human brain. It involves not just learning words, but grasping intricate grammatical rules, understanding subtle nuances of meaning, and deploying these symbols within a rich social context. Think of the boundless creativity of language, the ability to generate an infinite number of novel sentences from a finite set of words and rules. This generative capacity is a profound testament to the brain's underlying computational power, its ability to organize, categorize, and abstract. Language allows us to label our perceptions, articulate our memories, and direct our attention. It provides a framework for thought, enabling us to engage in abstract reasoning, problem-solving, and the sharing of complex ideas that would otherwise remain locked within the confines of a single mind. It is a collective memory, a shared consciousness, passed down through generations, enriching our individual and collective understanding of the world. Through language, we do not merely describe reality. We actively participate in its construction, shaping not only what we say, but also what we are capable of thinking and perceiving. So you see, the construction of our subjective reality is a magnificent ongoing symphony, orchestrated by these interconnected cognitive processes. Perception interprets the sensory world, attention illuminates its salient features, memory provides the rich context and personal narrative, and language offers the symbolic framework for thought and shared understanding. Each process, while distinct, is inextricably linked to the others, forming a dynamic, self-organizing system that is far greater than the sum of its parts. As we conclude this chapter, reflect on the incredible artistry of your own mind. It is not a passive recipient of the world, but an active, creative force, continuously weaving the threads of sensation, memory, and language into the vibrant, unique tapestry of your individual consciousness. It is a profound and beautiful dance, a testament to the elegant complexity of the human brain, forever constructing, forever adapting, forever becoming. And as we continue our journey, we will explore even more deeply into the intricate choreography of this inner universe, marveling at its boundless capacity for wonder and understanding. Welcome back, dear friends, to the tranquil halls of the Dreamy Academy. As the twilight deepens around us, let us continue our quiet journey into the most extraordinary landscape known to existence, the human mind. We have, together, traced the delicate dance of neurons, marveled at the interwoven tapestries of neural networks, and explored the foundational pillars upon which our subjective reality is constructed: perception, attention, memory, and language. We have seen how these intricate processes allow us to interpret the world, focus our awareness, recall our past, and articulate our deepest thoughts. But what happens when these fundamental systems coalesce, when the raw data of sensation, the filtered focus of attention, the rich archives of memory, and the structuring power of language are brought together not merely to observe, but to act. How do we navigate the labyrinthine corridors of choice, untangle the Gordian knots of dilemmas, and ultimately, how do the profound currents of feeling and desire steer the very ship of our being? Tonight, we delve into these higher-order cognitive functions, the very engine room of our individual agency and the vibrant palette of our inner life. Consider, if you will, the ceaseless stream of decisions that define your every waking moment, from the trivial to the transformative. Each choice, whether conscious or subliminal, is a complex orchestration, a symphony conducted by the brain, drawing upon every instrument in its vast repertoire. When you decide to reach for a cup of tea rather than coffee, to turn left instead of right, or to embark upon a new career path, your mind is engaging in an intricate ballet of evaluation. It is assessing probabilities, weighing potential outcomes, consulting the vast library of your past experiences stored in memory, and even simulating future scenarios with an astonishing predictive prowess. This process of decision-making is far from a purely rational cold calculation. Oh no, it is a rich, often messy, interplay of logic and intuition, a testament to the elegant efficiency of a system honed by eons of evolution. Your brain, in its ancient wisdom, employs an array of cognitive shortcuts, known as heuristics, to navigate the overwhelming complexity of information. It cannot possibly analyze every single variable for every single choice. Instead, it swiftly sifts through possibilities, guided by patterns it has recognized, by emotional resonance, and by the subtle cues your perception has gathered. Imagine, for a moment, standing at a crossroads. Before you lie countless paths, each shimmering with different potentials, some bright with promise, others veiled in uncertainty. Your brain, in that instant, is not merely a passive observer. It is an active architect, constructing models of what might be. It is accessing the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex, recalling similar junctions from your past, activating neural pathways associated with reward and risk. The amygdala, that small almond-shaped region, whispers its ancient warnings or urgings, colouring your perceptions with a subtle emotional hue. This isn't just about choosing, it's about anticipating, about projecting yourself into possible futures and feeling their echoes in the present. It is a profound act of self-authorship, shaping the unfolding narrative of your life, one choice at a time. And what of those moments when the path forward is not simply a matter of choice, but a tangled thicket, a puzzle with missing pieces, a challenge demanding innovation? This, dear listener, is the realm of problem solving, where the mind truly flexes its creative muscles. When confronted with an obstacle, whether it be a complex mathematical equation, a relational dilemma, or a design flaw, your brain doesn't simply retreat. Instead, it enters a dynamic state of exploration and restructuring. It begins by dissecting the problem, breaking it down into smaller, more manageable components, much like a skilled artisan examining a complex mechanism. It leverages the power of language to define the problem, to articulate its parameters, and to formulate potential questions. Then, it embarks on a quest for solutions, drawing upon the wellspring of memory for analogous situations, for strategies that have proven effective in their past. Here, neuroplasticity shines, as your brain actively reshapes its neural pathways, forging new connections, exploring novel combinations of ideas, attempting to bridge the gap between the known and the desired. Sometimes the solution emerges through a methodical step-by-step approach, a logical progression from premise to conclusion. Other times, it arrives in a sudden flash of insight, an aha moment that feels almost magical. This sudden illumination, often occurring after a period of incubation, is a testament to the brain's capacity for unconscious processing, for allowing diffuse neural networks to quietly work in the background, making novel associations until a breakthrough configuration is achieved. It is the very essence of creativity, the ability to synthesize disparate elements into a harmonious functional whole, transforming a jumble of information into a coherent path forward. Your capacity to solve problems is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is a fundamental drive to adapt, to overcome, to shape your environment, and to perpetually evolve. Yet even the most astute decision-making and the most ingenious problem-solving are not purely cerebral affairs. They are deeply, irrevocably intertwined with the vibrant, often turbulent currents of emotion. Far from being mere distractions or irrational interferences, emotions are fundamental components of our cognitive architecture, acting as powerful guides, motivators, and evaluators. Consider how a surge of fear can sharpen your attention, focusing it intensely on a potential threat, overriding all other cognitive processes to prioritize survival, or how the warmth of joy can broaden your perspective, fostering creativity and openness to new experiences. Emotions are the brain's ancient alarm system, its internal reward mechanism, its social glue, and its most profound source of meaning. They are not simply reactions. They are information, rich, visceral data points that inform our decisions, shape our memories, and dictate our priorities. The intricate dance between emotion and cognition primarily unfolds in a fascinating interplay between the limbic system, that ancient, deep-seated part of your brain responsible for processing feelings, and the prefrontal cortex, the seat of your most sophisticated reasoning. The amygdala, as we touched upon, is a key player, instantly assessing the emotional valence of a situation, imbuing perceptions with a sense of urgency or calm. But it is the prefrontal cortex that integrates these emotional signals with logical thought, allowing you to regulate your responses, to weigh the long-term consequences of an emotionally charged decision, and to understand the emotions of others. This intricate feedback loop ensures that your decisions are not just logically sound, but also emotionally intelligent, deeply resonant with your values and your understanding of the world. Without emotion, our decisions would lack significance, our memories would be devoid of colour, and our very existence would feel curiously hollow. Emotions are the vibrant hues that paint the canvas of your consciousness, giving depth and texture to every experience, and what then propels us forward, urging us to make choices, to solve problems, to engage with the world in the first place. This, my friends, is the irresistible force of motivation. Motivation is the engine of the mind, the invisible hand that guides your attention, fuels your efforts, and directs your pursuit of goals. It stems from a complex interplay of basic biological needs: the drive for sustenance, for safety, for belonging, and higher-order psychological desires, such as the quest for mastery, for connection, for meaning, and for self-actualization. When you feel motivated, a cascade of neurochemicals, particularly dopamine, floods the reward pathways of your brain, creating a sense of anticipation and pleasure associated with achieving a desired outcome. This neural machinery is incredibly powerful, capable of sustaining prolonged effort, even in the face of adversity. It is what compels you to learn a new skill, to persevere through challenges, to seek out new experiences, and to forge deep connections with others. Motivation transforms abstract desires into concrete actions, bridging the gap between intention and reality. It is the deep-seated impulse that keeps you engaged with the world, constantly striving, constantly growing, constantly becoming. So, you see, the journey we began with the humble neuron culminates in this breathtaking symphony of higher cognitive functions. Your decisions are not isolated acts. They are expressions of your integrated self, informed by perception, filtered by attention, shaped by memory, articulated by language, coloured by emotion, and propelled by motivation. Your capacity for problem solving is a testament to your brain's boundless adaptability and creativity. And the rich tapestry of your emotional life is not a separate realm, but an indispensable partner in the very act of thinking and being. As we conclude this chapter, reflect upon the profound interconnectedness of these processes. Each one builds upon the last, forming an intricate dynamic web that constitutes your unique consciousness, your individual understanding of self, and your vibrant engagement with the world. We are not merely observers of reality. We are active participants, shaping and being shaped by the ceaseless, wondrous activity within our own minds. And as we continue our exploration, we will delve even deeper into the profound mysteries that lie at the very heart of this extraordinary inner universe. Until then, rest well and let your mind continue its marvelous work. The previous chapter concluded by marveling at the tapestry woven by our higher-order cognitive functions, decision-making, problem-solving, emotion and motivation, each thread intricately connected, culminating in that singular dynamic consciousness we call our own. We spoke of a unique symphony, a personal narrative unfolding moment by moment. But what precisely is this quote that experiences the symphony? What is this profound, persistent sense of self that anchors our journey through the vast inner universe? Tonight, as the stars begin to pepper the darkening canvas outside our window, we shall embark on perhaps the most profound exploration of all, the enigma of the self, and how this individual consciousness, so intricately forged, then reaches out to dance with the consciousness of others. We step into a realm where the lines between the physical brain and the subjective spirit blur, where science grapples with philosophy, and where the deepest mysteries of our existence come into breathtaking focus. Consider, if you will, that persistent feeling of the quote 14. It is the thread that runs unbroken through every memory, every sensation, every thought, every aspiration. You wake up each morning, and despite the changes wrought by sleep, you know you are the same person who drifted off hours before. You carry your childhood dreams, your teenage embarrassments, your adult triumphs, all within this continuous narrative. But where, in the intricate wiring of neurons, in the cascade of neurotransmitters, does this unified, singular, quote 15, reside? The self, my dear friends, is not a fixed point, a solitary neuron firing in splendid isolation, nor even a specific region illuminated on a brain scan. Instead, it is an emergent property, a grand, continuous performance orchestrated by the entire cognitive apparatus we have been meticulously exploring. It is the narrative woven from perception, filtering the world through your unique lens, from memory reconstructing your past and shaping your identity, from emotion colouring your experiences with meaning, and from anticipation projecting your desires and plans into the future. Each of these processes, working in concert, contributes to the rich, multi-layered tapestry of who you are. Imagine your brain not as a static library of facts about, quote 16, but as a ceaselessly active, generative storyteller. It is constantly collecting data, interpreting events, updating its grand narrative, and projecting future possibilities, all with you at the centre. This self-narrative is fluid, adaptable, and profoundly influenced by every new experience, every interaction, every thought. It is the ultimate act of creative synthesis, a continuous improvisation on the theme of quote 17. Yet, even as we marvel at this magnificent construction, we encounter what philosophers call the quote 18 noise of consciousness, the question of subjective experience, or qualia. Why does the colour red look red to you in that uniquely subjective way? Why does the taste of chocolate evoke that specific sensation? We can trace the photons hitting your retina, map the neural pathways that process visual information, identify the regions activated when you taste sweetness. But how, from these objective, measurable physical processes, does the subjective experience of redness or sweetness arise? How does the brain generate the feeling, the what it's like of being you? This is where science for now humbly bows its head in awe. We can describe the mechanisms, the architecture, the dynamics. We can even create models that mimic aspects of conscious behaviour. But the leap from electrochemical signals to the inner qualitative world of subjective experience remains one of the most profound and beautiful mysteries of the universe. It is a frontier where our understanding still feels like a tiny flickering candle in an immense, star-dusted cavern, reminding us of the humbling depth of what we still have to learn, and what of agency, of free will, in this intricate dance of neural processes. If our thoughts, our decisions, our very sense of self are emergent properties of a physical brain governed by electrochemical laws, where does choice enter the picture? Are we merely sophisticated biological machines, our actions predetermined by the grand calculus of our neural networks and past experiences? Or is there a genuine, irreducible spark of will that allows us to genuinely choose to initiate new causal chains? This, too, is a question that resonates deeply within the chambers of cognitive science and philosophy. While neuroscience reveals the brain's remarkable capacity for predictive processing, often initiating actions before we are consciously aware of deciding them, our subjective experience screams of freedom. We feel like we are making choices moment by moment. Perhaps free will is not a defiance of physical laws, but another emergent property, a complex interplay of our conscious deliberations, our values, our long-term goals, and our capacity for self-reflection, all woven into the predictive fabric of the brain. It might be less about an absolute unfettered freedom, and more about our capacity for self-authorship within the constraints of our biological and environmental realities. A profound and empowering form of freedom, nonetheless. The debate continues, a vibrant testament to the mind's capacity to question its own nature. Having journeyed inward to the very core of individual consciousness and the elusive self, let us now turn our gaze outward. For the human mind, astonishing as it is in its solitude, truly blossoms in communion with other minds. We are at our very essence social beings, and our cognitive architecture reflects this profound truth. Think for a moment about the intricate dance of understanding that occurs when you interact with another person. You don't just perceive their words, you infer their intentions, gauge their emotions, anticipate their reactions. This remarkable ability to attribute mental states, beliefs, desires, intentions, feelings to ourselves and to others is known as theory of mind. It is the cognitive superpower that allows us to navigate the complex social landscape, to cooperate, to empathize, to deceive, and to understand narratives beyond our own immediate experience. Imagine a child learning to play hide and seek. They quickly grasp that if they hide behind the curtain, you won't know where they are. This seemingly simple understanding is a nascent form of theory of mind, the realization that another person's knowledge state can differ from their own. Without this capacity, social interaction beyond the most basic stimulus response would be impossible. Our conversations would be devoid of nuance, our relationships bereft of depth. Theory of mind allows us to step, metaphorically, into another's shoes, to simulate their internal world, and thus to predict and understand their behavior. Closely intertwined with theory of mind is the profound human capacity for empathy. Empathy is more than just understanding another's perspective. It is the capacity to feel what another person is experiencing, to resonate with their joy, their sorrow, their fear. It is the bridge that connects individual consciousness to the collective human experience, fostering compassion, cooperation, and the very fabric of society. While the exact neural mechanisms of empathy are still being actively researched, one fascinating candidate involves mirror neurons. Discovered initially in monkeys, these remarkable neurons fire not only when an individual performs an action, but also when they observe someone else performing the same action. If you watch someone pick up a cup, certain neurons in your brain might fire as if you were picking up the cup. This, quote 1910, suggests a fundamental mechanism for understanding the actions and intentions of others, potentially forming a bedrock for imitation, learning, and even empathy. When you wince watching someone stub their toe, it's not just a cognitive understanding of their pain. There's a subtle, almost visceral resonance within your own nervous system. The social brain, then, is not merely a collection of individual minds interacting. It is a system where minds actively shape each other. From the moment we are born, our brains are wired for connection. Language, as we discussed in Chapter 3, is a profoundly social construct, allowing us to share complex thoughts and feelings, to build shared realities. Our very identities are forged in the crucible of social interaction, reflecting the feedback, expectations and narratives provided by our families, communities and cultures. The norms we adopt, the values we hold, the skills we acquire, all are profoundly influenced by the social matrix in which we are embedded. This constant co-creation means that our individual cognitive landscapes are never truly isolated. They are porous, permeable, constantly absorbing and reflecting the intricate patterns of the social world. Our brains are not just processing information from the physical environment, They are processing the intentions, emotions, and beliefs of other minds, constantly updating our internal models of the social universe. This makes the human mind not just a marvel of individual computation, but a masterpiece of collective intelligence. As our journey through the dreamy academy approaches its gentle close, we find ourselves standing at a precipice, looking out onto an ever-expanding horizon of discovery. We've traversed the microscopic world of neurons, soared through the emergent landscapes of consciousness, delved into the foundational processes of perception and memory, explored the heights of higher cognition, and now we've pondered the very essence of the self and its profound connection to others. But this, my friends, is not an ending. It is merely the beginning of your own ongoing inquiry. The field of cognitive science is a vibrant, dynamic frontier, ceaselessly pushing the boundaries of what we understand about ourselves. What lies ahead? Perhaps deeper insights into the nature of consciousness itself, unraveling the Sessom quote 20dem, and revealing new dimensions of subjective experience. Perhaps revolutionary advancements in artificial intelligence, not merely mimicking human thought, but truly understanding and collaborating with it. We're on the cusp of brain-computer interfaces that could restore lost function, enhance cognitive abilities, or even allow us to communicate in ways we can only dream of now. We will undoubtedly gain a more nuanced understanding of mental health, developing more effective interventions by precisely mapping the neural underpinnings of well-being and distress. We might even begin to decode the ancient wisdom embedded in our biological heritage, understanding how millions of years of evolution have shaped our capacity for wonder, creativity, and connection. The human mind, this elegant, ancient, and astonishing instrument, remains the most complex object in the known universe. Each question answered invariably unearths a dozen more. Each discovery illuminates new pathways for exploration. It is a journey without end, a continuous unfolding of mystery and revelation. So, as we prepare to dim the lights on this particular segment of our shared intellectual adventure, I invite you to carry this sense of wonder, this spirit of inquiry, into your own daily lives. Look at the world, look at yourself, look at those around you with new eyes. Recognize the astonishing cognitive ballet unfolding within and between us all. Understand that beneath the surface of every thought, every feeling, every interaction lies an intricate universe of neural activity, a testament to the profound beauty and complexity of being human. The mind is not just something we have, it is something we are. And in understanding its wondrous mechanisms, we come closer to understanding the very essence of existence itself. Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep marveling. For the journey into the mind is the most extraordinary adventure of all, and so, as we gently navigated the intricate dance of social cognition, observing how our individual mental tapestries are interwoven with those of others, how empathy connects us across the vastness of subjective experience, we begin to perceive a grander design. Each mind, a universe unto itself, yet inextricably linked, shaping and being shaped by the collective consciousness that surrounds it. It is a breathtaking realization, this profound interconnectedness, reminding us that even in our deepest inner solitude we are never truly alone. But this elegant ancient instrument within us, this brain that so deftly constructs our reality, and orchestrates our social overtures, is also a masterful practitioner of efficiency. Imagine, if you will, the sheer volume of sensory data bombarding you at every waking moment. The ceaseless stream of decisions, large and small, that must be made, the myriad social cues to be interpreted. To process all of this with painstaking, deliberate logic every single time would be an impossible burden, a computational nightmare that would quickly exhaust our precious cognitive resources. No, our minds, in their infinite wisdom and millennia of evolutionary refinement, have developed sophisticated shortcuts, mental heuristics, if you will. These are rules of thumb, intuitive strategies, and quick approximations that allow us to navigate the world with remarkable speed and generally commendable accuracy. Think of them as the well-worn paths through a dense forest. Not always the most scenic or perfectly straight route, but undeniably the fastest way to get from point A to point B. When you quickly judge whether a shadowy figure in the distance is friend or foe, or estimate the likelihood of rain based on a particular cloud formation, you are employing these invaluable heuristics. They are the silent architects of our everyday judgments, allowing us to make decisions with a fraction of the effort that a purely logical, exhaustive analysis would demand. They are, in essence, the brain's ingenious way of optimizing for survival and action in a dynamic, unpredictable world. Yet, like any shortcut, these heuristics, while incredibly useful, sometimes lead us down unexpected detours, or even occasionally into blind alleys. These systematic deviations from pure rationality, these persistent patterns of error in judgment, are what we call cognitive biases. They are not flaws in the design, not defects, but rather the intriguing byproducts of a system exquisitely tuned for rapid inference rather than perfect, unassailable logic. They reveal the beautiful, sometimes bewildering paradox of our minds, a profound capacity for insight coupled with a susceptibility to predictable distortions. Consider for a moment the insidious whisper of confirmation bias. It is the mind's quiet insistence on seeking out, interpreting, and remembering information in a way that confirms its existing beliefs, its cherished narratives, its established worldview. If you hold a particular opinion, how often do you find yourself gravitating towards news sources, social circles, or even memories that echo and validate that opinion? It is as if your inner universe has a gravitational pull, drawing in only those celestial bodies that orbit harmoniously within its pre-existing system. This isn't a deliberate act of deception. It is a deeply ingrained tendency to reinforce the coherence of our internal models, to protect the delicate narrative of self we have so carefully constructed. In an increasingly interconnected world, where information streams are curated by algorithms and social networks, this bias can create echo chambers, reinforcing divisions and making it ever more challenging to truly understand perspectives that lie beyond our own cognitive horizon. Then there is the subtle power of anchoring bias, where our judgments become disproportionately influenced by the very first piece of information we encounter, the initial anchor, regardless of its relevance or accuracy. Imagine being presented with a price for an item, however arbitrary. That initial number often sets the stage, pulling subsequent valuations towards it, even if you consciously try to be objective. Our minds, ever seeking reference points in a sea of ambiguity, cling to the familiar, allowing it to become the gravitational center around which all subsequent assessments revolve. Or contemplate the reframing effect, a testament to the profound influence of presentation. The very same information, when presented in different ways, emphasizing gains versus losses for instance, can elicit entirely different emotional and intellectual responses, leading to dramatically divergent choices. A medical procedure described as having a 90% survival rate sounds far more appealing than one with a 10% mortality rate, even though the statistical reality is identical. It reminds us that our perception of reality is not merely about the facts themselves, but about the lens through which those facts are offered, illustrating the mind's sensitivity to nuance and suggestion. And in our social interactions, the fundamental attribution error as often casts a long shadow. We tend to attribute others' negative behaviors to their inherent character, their stable dispositions, quote 24, quote 25, while attributing our own similar behaviors to external circumstances, quote 26, quote 27. Conversely, we often see our own successes as products of our brilliance, while others' successes might be mere luck. It is a subtle but powerful bias that can hinder empathy and understanding, creating invisible walls between us by distorting our interpretations of intentions and motivations. These biases, you see, are not flaws to be eradicated, but rather fascinating insights into the efficient ancient architecture of our minds. They are the inevitable trade-offs of a system designed for rapid inference and survival, not for perfect dispassionate logic in every instance. They remind us that our brains, magnificent as they are not purely rational machines, but intricate, evolving organisms deeply rooted in a history of navigating immediate threats and opportunities. So, what is our recourse, dear traveller, when confronted with these subtle distortions of perception and judgment? The answer lies in the very essence of our journey together: metacognition, the profound capacity for thinking about thinking. It is the ability to step back, to observe the workings of your own mind, to question the immediate impulse, to scrutinize the intuitive leap. It is a practice of gentle self-awareness, of slowing down the relentless current of thought, allowing space for reflection before reaction. It is about cultivating intellectual humility, acknowledging the inherent limitations and biases that are woven into the very fabric of human cognition, and understanding that certainty is often a comfortable illusion. This metacognitive awareness is not about eradicating biases entirely, for they are too deeply embedded in our cognitive machinery, but about recognizing their presence, understanding their likely influence, and consciously compensating for them. It is an invitation to engage in more deliberate analytical thought when the stakes are high, to seek diverse perspectives, and to actively challenge your own assumptions. It is the ongoing work of sharpening the tools of your inner universe, not to dismantle it, but to understand its exquisite mechanics more fully. Moreover, our inner universe does not exist in a vacuum. It is a constantly evolving landscape, profoundly shaped by the vast, intricate tapestry of culture and environment. The very language you speak, the stories you hear, the values you internalize from your family and community, these are not mere external adornments. They are fundamental architects of your cognitive architecture. They sculpt your perception of time, your understanding of self and others, your emotional responses, and even the very categories through which you organize reality. the distinctions you make, the priorities you hold, the narratives you construct, are all deeply imbued with the collective wisdom and biases of the cultures you inhabit. Your inner universe is continuously being painted by the outer universe of shared human experience. Consider how technology, too, has become an increasingly powerful environmental force, actively shaping our cognitive landscapes. The algorithms that curate your newsfeed, the social media platforms that connect you to like-minded individuals, the sheer volume of information at your fingertips. These new digital ecosystems are not neutral. They can amplify existing biases, create new forms of attention deficits, and even subtly alter the ways we learn, remember, and interact. They present both unprecedented opportunities for knowledge and connection, and profound challenges to our cognitive equilibrium, demanding a new level of metacognitive vigilance. And so, as our journey through the wondrous expanse of cognitive science draws towards a contemplative pause, we are left with a profound sense of awe and an even deeper appreciation for the enduring mysteries that remain. The hard problem of consciousness, the elusive nature of qualia, the full extent of free will, the wellsprings of creativity, the precise mechanisms of collective intelligence. These are not solved puzzles, but rather vast, shimmering frontiers beckoning future generations of explorers. What lies ahead for cognitive science? Perhaps a deeper integration with artificial intelligence, not merely to replicate human thought, but to illuminate its unique essence. Perhaps personalized cognitive interventions, tailored to enhance learning, mitigate bias, or foster greater well-being. Perhaps a more complete understanding of how our brains construct meaning, how we find purpose, and how we connect not just within our social circles, but across the entirety of the human experience. The journey is far from over. Indeed, it is only just beginning. Our exploration has merely scratched the surface of this astonishing inner universe, yet it has revealed boundless beauty, breathtaking complexity, and an enduring capacity for wonder. May you carry this sense of quiet reverence, this gentle curiosity, into your own ongoing journey of self-awareness. For the greatest expedition, dear friend, is always the one inward, into the marvelous, mysterious landscape of your own mind. It is a landscape that is constantly evolving, perpetually surprising, and infinitely rich with the potential for discovery. And in that discovery, perhaps, lies the truest understanding of what it means to be human. And so, we arrive, not at an ending, but at a precipice, a shimmering threshold where all our carefully constructed understandings meet the boundless ocean of the unknown. We have journeyed through the intricate landscapes of the neuron, traversed the vast neural networks, and charted the territories of perception, memory, and emotion. We have glimpsed the self as a narrative, felt the pull of motivation, and even confronted the curious architecture of our biases. Yet, as with any truly profound exploration, the more we uncover, the more we realize the immensity of what remains veiled. Tonight, under the quiet gaze of the dreamy Academy stars, we turn our attention to these lingering mysteries, these profound questions that continue to beckon us deeper into the heart of what it means to be. They are not failures of science, but rather its most magnificent challenges, the very fuel that propels our curiosity ever onward. Let us return for a moment to the enigma that underpins all our experience, consciousness itself. We have spoken of it as an emergent property, a grand symphony arising from the orchestrated activity of billions of neurons. We've touched upon the hard problem of qualia, the subjective, irreducible feel of experience. But to truly sit with this mystery is to confront something far more profound than mere neural firing patterns. What is it? This inner light, this private theatre where the world unfolds in colour, sound and sensation. Why does the redness of a rose feel red to you, distinct from the buzzing sound of a bee or the sharp tang of a lemon? These are not simply data points processed by a sophisticated machine. They are felt experiences, imbued with a quality, a texture, a presence that defies easy explanation. Imagine, if you will, the most sophisticated robot capable of identifying a rose, describing its properties, even mimicking delight. It could process the wavelength of light that we call red and associate it with the word red. But would it experience the redness in the same way you do? Would it feel the soft, velvety texture, the subtle perfume, the thorn's prick? This subjective first-person quality of experience, this qualia, remains a frontier. It is the very essence of your inner world, the unique flavour of your existence, and it refuses to yield its secrets easily. It suggests that perhaps, beyond the elegant mechanisms we've explored, there lies another layer, a dimension of being that transcends mere computation, a private universe accessible only to you. And within this private universe, where does your will reside? We've considered the ancient debate surrounding free will, the notion that you are the author of your choices, the architect of your destiny. Yet modern neuroscience, with its increasing ability to peer into the brain's preparatory stages, sometimes presents a disquieting picture. Studies suggest that neural activity corresponding to a decision can be observed milliseconds, or even seconds, before you consciously become aware of having made that decision. Are your choices, then, merely the readout of a predetermined neural cascade, an elaborate puppet show where you are the spectator, not the puppeteer? This is a question that challenges the very foundations of our self-conception, our sense of agency, our moral responsibility. Is free will an illusion, a convenient narrative your brain constructs to make sense of its own processes? Or is it something more subtle, an emergent property of your integrated self, a capacity for self-authorship that, while influenced by myriad factors, still possesses a genuine spark of initiation? Perhaps it is not about an absolute uncaused cause, but rather the capacity for conscious reflection, for evaluating options, for choosing to align with certain impulses or to override others. It is the profound dance between the currents of your unconscious mind and the deliberate steering of your conscious intent, a mystery that continues to shape our understanding of justice, morality, and personal accountability. Then there is the shimmering, elusive phenomenon of creativity. Where do novel ideas come from? How does the human mind, from a vast ocean of acquired knowledge and sensory input, suddenly forge something entirely new, a melody, a theory, a story, an invention? It is not simply logical deduction, though logic plays its part. It is often a leap, a sudden insight, an aha moment that feels almost magical. Consider the artist gazing at a blank canvas, the scientist pondering an intractable problem, the musician seeking a new harmony. Their brains are not merely recalling past information, they are reconfiguring it, blending disparate concepts, making connections where none previously existed. This involves both divergent thinking, the ability to generate multiple varied solutions, and convergent thinking, the ability to home in on the most effective one. But how does the brain achieve this alchemical transformation? Is it a unique interplay of neural networks, perhaps involving the relaxation of inhibitory control in certain areas, allowing for more unusual associations? Is it the unconscious mind working tirelessly in the background, sifting through possibilities, only to present the conscious mind with a fully formed concept? We know that conditions like daydreaming, meditation, and even certain states of sleep can foster creative insights, suggesting a deep connection to the brain's default mode network, the very same network that stitches together our sense of self. Creativity, then, might be seen as the mind's ultimate act of self-reconfiguration, a testament to neuroplasticity not just in adapting to the world, but in actively shaping and reimagining it. It is the whisper of the ancient brain, still capable of dreaming up entirely new futures. And finally, let us cast our gaze beyond the individual mind towards the grand tapestry of collective intelligence. We have explored social cognition, the intricate ways in which individual minds interact, understand, and empathize with one another. But what happens when millions, billions of these individual minds connect, collaborate, and compete? Is there an emergent intelligence that transcends the sum of its parts, a global brain forming through the intricate web of human interaction, culture, and technology? Think of the vast knowledge repositories of the Internet, the collaborative projects that span continents, the rapid dissemination of ideas and innovations. Human societies, with their complex divisions of labour, shared languages, and cultural norms, exhibit a form of intelligence that no single mind could ever achieve. But how does this collective mind truly function? How do shared beliefs, cultural narratives, and technological infrastructures shape and constrain our individual and group cognition? How do we harness its potential for good while mitigating its risks, such as the echo chambers and polarization that can arise from interconnectedness? The concept of a Jan quote 35, a sphere of human thought and consciousness enveloping the earth, once a philosophical musing, feels increasingly tangible in our hyper-connected age. What are the rules of this emergent intelligence? How does it learn, adapt, and evolve? And what responsibilities do we bear as individual nodes in this vast network to contribute to its wisdom and health? This is a frontier that extends beyond the skull into the very fabric of our shared humanity. As the quiet hours deepen and the stars outside the dreamy academy windows seem to multiply, we are left with a profound sense of humility and wonder. Cognitive science, in its relentless pursuit of understanding, has illuminated so much of our inner universe, mapping its continents and charting its currents. Yet, it has also unveiled vast, unexplored oceans, shimmering with unanswered questions. The full nature of consciousness, the subjective essence of qualia, the true meaning of free will, the wellspring of creativity, the emergent intelligence of the collective. These are not problems to be solved and then set aside. They are enduring mysteries, invitations to continued exploration, to a lifelong journey of inquiry and introspection. They remind us that the human mind, in all its astonishing complexity, is not merely a mechanism to be dissected, but a living, evolving marvel, a universe unto itself. Our journey through cognitive science has shown us that to understand the mind is to understand ourselves, not as static entities but as dynamic processes, constantly adapting, learning and dreaming. It is to appreciate the elegance of our ancient brain and the boundless potential of our future. And as we conclude this particular chapter, remember that the greatest discoveries often lie not in the answers we find, but in the courage to keep asking the most profound questions. May your own journey of discovery continue, illuminated by curiosity, guided by wonder, and forever open to the beautiful mysteries that reside within and around you. And so we have traversed together a landscape of astonishing complexity, a universe folded within the confines of our skulls. We have charted the silent whispers of neurons, witnessed the intricate dance of networks, marveled at the enduring plasticity that sculpts our very essence. We have glimpsed the emergent tapestry of consciousness, felt the active hand of perception, understood the selective lens of attention, and navigated the vast archives of memory. We have seen language not merely as a tool, but as the very architecture of our thought, and explored the intricate ballet of decision-making, the ingenious leaps of problem-solving, the guiding currents of emotion, and the deep wellsprings of motivation. We have constructed the narrative of the self, peered into the minds of others through the delicate mechanisms of social cognition, and recognized the efficient shortcuts and inherent biases that shape our daily reality. We have even touched upon the profound influence of culture and technology, those external forces that ceaselessly reshape our internal worlds. Yet, as we stand here, bathed in the soft contemplative light of the dreamy academy, having journeyed so far and illuminated so much, we arrive at the precipice of the truly unknown. For all the maps we have drawn, all the connections we have traced, there remain vast, shimmering territories that defy easy definition, profound questions that continue to echo in the hallowed halls of scientific inquiry. These are not merely gaps in our knowledge, but rather the very frontiers of human understanding, the deepest mysteries that beckon us forward with an irresistible allure. Consider, if you will, the enigma of qualia. We have spoken of perception, of light striking the retina, of vibrations tickling the cochlea, of chemical signals binding to receptors. We understand the pathways, the neural correlates, the astonishing speed at which these raw data are transformed into coherent sensory experiences. But tell me, my friend, why does the sky present itself to you as blue? Not merely as a wavelength of light, not as a pattern of neural firing, but as an experience of blueness, a subjective, irreducible feel that is uniquely yours. Why does the taste of a ripe strawberry evoke a specific, delightful sweetness on your tongue, distinct from any other flavour? This is the just quote to 36 dissect of consciousness, the chasm between the objective mechanics of the brain and the subjective, qualitative feel of experience. We can dissect the brain, map its activity with exquisite precision, even simulate its functions to an astonishing degree, but we cannot, it seems, point to a neuron and say, quote, 37. It is as if an entire orchestra plays a magnificent symphony, every instrument accounted for, every note perfectly executed, yet we cannot find the elusive, quote 38 within the score, the one who experiences the grandeur of the music. Qualia are the very texture of our existence, the raw, unfiltered essence of what it is like to be you, to inhabit this unique, conscious vessel. They are the brushstrokes of our inner world, vibrant and immediate, yet their genesis remains shrouded in a mystery that humbles even the most brilliant minds. How do electrochemical impulses transform into the bittersweet ache of nostalgia, the searing joy of discovery, or the quiet comfort of a familiar melody? This question remains, a luminous beacon at the very edge of our current comprehension. And then, as we reflect upon the choices we make, the paths we forge, we inevitably confront the profound and unsettling question of free will. We have explored decision-making, acknowledging the intricate dance between logic and intuition, the subtle sway of emotion, the unconscious biases that often guide our selections. We feel, deeply and instinctively, that we are the authors of our own destiny, that each moment presents a genuine fork in the road, and that our conscious intent steers our course. Yet, the relentless march of neuroscience continues to uncover fascinating and sometimes disquieting insights. Studies have shown that specific neural activity predicting a choice can occur milliseconds, even seconds, before we become consciously aware of having made that choice. Is our sense of agency then merely a sophisticated narrative our brains construct after the fact, a comforting illusion designed to maintain our sense of control? Are our decisions merely the inevitable unfolding of prior causes, our genetic predispositions, our past experiences, the intricate firing patterns of our neural networks? Or is there a genuine, irreducible spark of conscious intervention, a moment where the quote 39 truly exerts its will, transcending the deterministic machinery? This is not merely an academic debate, but one that strikes at the very core of what it means to be human, to be accountable, to be responsible for our actions. If free will is an illusion, what then of morality, of justice, of the very foundations of our societies? The delicate balance between the predetermined dance of neural activity and the subjective experience of conscious choice remains one of the most compelling and confounding riddles, a labyrinth where science and philosophy intertwine in an endless, fascinating pursuit. From the realm of individual choice, let us turn our gaze to the wellspring of creativity. We have marveled at the brain's capacity for problem-solving, its elegant efficiency in navigating challenges. But creativity is something more, something transcendent. It is not merely finding a solution, but inventing a new problem, or perceiving entirely novel relationships where none were apparent before. It is the sudden flash of insight that illuminates a complex puzzle, the unexpected juxtaposition of disparate ideas that births a masterpiece, the audacious leap of imagination that reshapes our understanding of the universe. Where does this extraordinary capacity for novelty originate? Is it simply the unconscious recombination of existing memories and concepts, a sophisticated shuffle of the mental deck? Or is there a deeper, more mysterious process at play, a wellspring of original thought that taps into something beyond mere computation? We speak of aha moments, of inspiration striking like lightning, of muses whispering secrets. Science attempts to demystify this process, exploring divergent thinking, the role of associative networks, the interplay of different brain regions during creative tasks. Yet, the sheer unpredictable emergence of a truly original idea, a revolutionary theory, a breathtaking piece of art still retains an almost magical quality. It is the human mind at its most unbound, its most daring, its most beautiful, a testament to a capacity that continues to defy complete mechanistic explanation. a testament to the elegant chaos from which true innovation often springs. How does the mind, a product of evolution, give rise to something utterly unprecedented? Something that has never existed before? This remains a captivating and deeply personal mystery, inviting each of us to explore our own inner landscapes for that elusive spark. Finally, let us expand our vision beyond the individual mind, to the shimmering tapestry woven when multiple minds converge, the phenomenon of a collective intelligence. We have already touched upon social cognition, the intricate ways we understand and empathize with one another. But what happens when these individual universes of thought begin to interact, to share, to collaborate on a grand scale? We witness the emergence of something truly remarkable, a collective understanding, a distributed problem-solving capacity, a shared consciousness that transcends the sum of its parts. Think of the scientific community, slowly, painstakingly, building upon centuries of shared knowledge to unravel the secrets of the cosmos or the intricacies of life itself. Consider the vast dynamic repository of human culture, evolving and adapting through countless individual contributions. Or look to the internet, a global neural network of humanity where information flows at unimaginable speeds, giving rise to new forms of collaboration, new modes of learning, new avenues for creative expression. How do individual insights, often fragmented and localized, coalesce into a coherent, emergent intelligence? What are the mechanisms by which shared understanding is forged, by which group decisions, sometimes wise, sometimes tragically flawed, come to fruition? It is a complex dance of communication, feedback loops, and emergent properties, where the unique strengths of individual minds are amplified, refined, and sometimes even overshadowed by the collective whole. This collective mind, whether it manifests as a scientific paradigm, a social movement, or the very fabric of human knowledge, represents an ongoing experiment in emergent complexity, a testament to our innate drive to connect, to share, and to build something greater than ourselves. It is a frontier that promises not only to deepen our understanding of ourselves, but to reshape the very future of our species. These, my dear friends, are but a few of the profound mysteries that continue to illuminate the boundaries of our knowledge. Qualia, free will, creativity, collective intelligence. They are not merely academic puzzles, but fundamental questions that touch upon the very essence of what it means to be conscious, to be human, to be part of this vast interconnected universe. They remind us that for all our magnificent discoveries, for all the intricate maps we have drawn of the inner cosmos, the journey of understanding is an unending one. The Dreamy Academy does not offer final answers to these deepest questions, for such answers may forever remain just beyond our grasp. Instead, it offers a space for wonder, for contemplation, for the quiet appreciation of the boundless complexity that defines us. And as we conclude this chapter, gazing out at these luminous frontiers, know that the greatest adventure of the mind is not in finding all the answers, but in continually asking the most profound questions, in forever daring to explore the beautiful, intricate, and eternally mysterious universe within. The journey, I assure you, continues. And so, we arrive, dear friends, at the very edge of our known cognitive universe, a luminous frontier where the maps grow faint and the stars themselves seem to whisper questions rather than answers. We have traversed the intricate pathways of neurons, marvelled at the emergent symphony of consciousness, and charted the vast, shifting landscapes of perception, memory, and thought. We have even acknowledged the ingenious shortcuts and subtle biases that shape our daily realities, diligently learning to navigate the currents of our own minds. But now, as the gentle twilight deepens over our dreamy academy, we stand before the four great enduring mysteries, the luminous, enigmatic phenomena that continue to beckon us, not as failures of understanding, but as the very heart of what it means to inquire, to wonder, to be. These are not mere puzzles to be solved and filed away, but profound invitations to a deeper contemplation, to an acceptance of the boundless complexity that lies at the core of our existence. They are the grand philosophical challenges that cognitive science, for all its astonishing progress, still grapples with, reminding us of the humility required in the face of such an elegant, ancient and efficient design as the human mind. Let us then turn our gaze toward the first of these profound enigmas, qualia. Imagine, if you will, the vibrant, fiery intensity of the colour red, the searing agony of a burn, or the intoxicating sweetness of a ripe strawberry melting on your tongue. These are not merely data points, are they? Not just wavelengths of light, or patterns of neural firing, or specific molecular structures interacting with receptors. No, these are experiences. They possess a raw, irreducible, subjective, what-it's-like quality that seems to transcend any purely objective description. This is qualia, the private, phenomenal feel of our conscious experience. We can meticulously map the neural correlates of colour perception, tracing the photons entering the eye, the signals travelling along the optic nerve, the activation of specific areas in the visual cortex. We can even describe the precise chemical reactions on the tongue that lead to the sensation of sweetness. Yet, after all this scientific elucidation, does it truly explain why red feels red to you? Why that specific hue evokes a sense of passion or urgency? Or why the strawberry's sweetness is so utterly distinct from the bitterness of coffee? The objective data, for all its precision, seems to leave a subtle yet profound gap. The chasm between the physical processes and the subjective experience, the as quote 42 of consciousness that continues to captivate and confound us. It's as if you and I could both be observing the same sunset, our brains processing identical wavelengths of light, yet the ineffable personal resonance of that golden hour, the specific shade of orange that catches your breath, the particular melancholic beauty it stirs within your inner landscape, remains forever your own, an unshareable essence. How does the intricate dance of ions and neurotransmitters give rise to this unique private theatre of sensation? This is the whisper of qualia, a constant reminder that our inner universe is not just a mechanism, but a realm of profound, irreducible feeling. Next, we confront perhaps the most existentially resonant of these mysteries: free will. It is the bedrock of our moral frameworks, the foundation of our sense of agency, the very engine that drives us to make choices, to strive, to regret, to aspire. You feel profoundly that you are the author of your decisions, that you could have chosen otherwise, that your conscious intent guides your actions. This subjective sense of agency is so fundamental to our identity that to question it feels almost to question the self itself. Yet, the scientific lens offers a disquieting perspective. Pioneering experiments such as those conducted by Benjamin Libet have shown that specific neural activity, known as the readiness potential, can be detected in the brain hundreds of milliseconds before a person consciously decides to act. It's as if your brain has already begun preparing for a movement before, quote, 444, are even aware of having made the decision. More recent studies, utilizing advanced neuroimaging, have pushed this timeline back even further, suggesting that the brain might be committing to a choice seconds before the conscious mind registers it. This presents a profound tension, does it not? If our decisions are already brewing in the silent depths of our neural networks, before we become consciously aware of them, where then does just in quote 45 wire will truly reside? Are we merely sophisticated biological machines, our choices predetermined by the intricate interplay of genetics, environment, and neural computation? Or is there still a space for a conscious veto, a subtle steering of the predetermined course, a genuine spark of self-determination that defies reduction? The implications ripple through our understanding of responsibility, morality, and the very nature of what it means to be a self. This mystery invites us to ponder the intricate dance between our conscious experience of choice and the silent, powerful currents of our unconscious brain, asking us to redefine what, quote, 46 might truly entail within the elegant confines of our biological architecture. And now, let us turn our gaze to the elusive, shimmering phenomenon of reus and creativity. Where do genuinely new ideas come from? Not merely the recombination of existing knowledge, not the logical progression from premise to conclusion, but the sudden, incandescent spark of novelty, the, quote 47, moment that births a symphony, a scientific breakthrough, a revolutionary invention, or a profound philosophical insight. How does the brain, which we have come to understand as an efficient pattern recognizer and problem solver, suddenly leap beyond its established algorithms to conjure something utterly unprecedented? Consider the artist staring at a blank canvas, the scientist grappling with an unsolved paradox, the composer seeking a melody that has never been heard. There is often a period of intense focus, followed by a period of incubation, a letting go, a stepping away. And then, sometimes, in the quietest moments, a shower, a walk, the edge of sleep, the solution or the inspiration arrives, fully formed, seemingly from nowhere. What intricate unconscious processes are unfolding during these periods? What subtle reconfigurations of neural networks are occurring, allowing disparate ideas to suddenly coalesce in a novel, meaningful way? Creativity seems to defy linear explanation, dancing on the edge of the known, drawing from the vast, silent reservoirs of the unconscious mind. It is not merely intelligence, though intelligence often serves it. It is a generative force, a capacity for divergent thinking that allows us to explore possibilities beyond the obvious, to connect the seemingly unconnected, to envision futures that do not yet exist. It reminds us that our minds are not just processors of information, but alchemists of novelty, capable of transforming the familiar into the sublime, the mundane into the magical. It is the wellspring of human innovation, a testament to the mind's capacity for boundless invention, and its deepest mechanisms remain a captivating secret. Finally, we arrive at collective intelligence, a mystery that broadens our scope beyond the individual mind to the vast interwoven tapestry of human cognition. We have explored the individual brain, a universe in itself. But what happens when millions, billions of these universes interact? What emergent properties arise when minds communicate, share, learn from one another, and build upon the knowledge accumulated across generations? Consider the internet, a sprawling neural network of humanity, where information flows at the speed of light, where ideas are born, debated, refined, and disseminated across continents in moments. Think of the intricate dance of scientific